Hey there, today I'm showing you what I think is going to be one of the best laptop deals that you're going to find in 2024, and that is this ASUS ZenBook 14 OLED. Now, right off the bat, this is not the latest model at all, but it is, of course, last year's model, and this is a refurbished unit that I managed to get off of eBay for only $400. Now that right there is already a pretty insane deal because we're talking about an OLED display here, and it's not even just a 1080p OLED display. We're talking about 1800p. Now this is a refurbished unit that I got on eBay, but the benefit of going down this route is the insane level of savings that you can actually get here. Because really what you're paying for here is a premium laptop experience at a price point where most brand new laptops are competing with quad-core CPUs and sometimes not even 1080p displays. And if you're lucky, you get a very dim IPS display that's 1080p at this price range, while this system here comes with a 1800p OLED display. Now this ZenBook also does support HDR, and the HDR experience is pretty fantastic. I don't really have the equipment to show you properly just how good this display is, but HDR content does in fact look fantastic on here, and you really get the benefits of OLED with this display. And the fact that it's a 16:10 aspect ratio actually does mean that we get pretty noticeably more room on the display for web browsing and just displaying content in general. And that actually does make a meaningful difference, and that's one of those things that you tend to miss out at this price point. Most displays are 16:9. Most of the time they're just going to be 1080p, and even if you do find 16:9 displays, or rather 16:10 displays in this price range, they usually tend to be around the 1080p resolution range. So the biggest selling point here is the display, but there are other key features that make this a great deal. But there are also some major downsides that I want to talk to you about later down the line. But we're going to go through all of the great things about it before I tell you why you might not want to go down this route. Now, I can run down every single aspect about this laptop one by one and tell you why it's better than pretty much anything else, but I'll just let you know now. I have been using multiple laptops around the $250 to $500 price range, and this is the most premium experience that I've ever gotten out of any laptop in that price. See, the ZenBook line isn't exactly entry level. It's really more middle of the road. It's not exactly a high-end line, but it does get a lot of high-end features, something like the display here, and it gets noticeably better build quality than most other systems that you'll find in the $200 to $500 price range. It's a very sleek and attractive design, and overall feels pretty premium. And it's not just the aesthetics here. See, when you're buying a laptop, you're buying an entire computing experience. And one of those things is the speakers. Now, a lot of the times, that is one of the areas where manufacturers tend to cheap out with lower end systems. Pretty much every single laptop that I've ever ended up using has had some pretty abysmal speakers, to the point where if you have some Bluetooth speakers or anything like that, or rather some Bluetooth headphones, you're better off using that, or a Bluetooth speaker, or really just anything else. But this was surprising. See, the speakers on this system were actually incredible. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was the most revolutionary experience of my life, but it was genuinely surprising to hear speakers on a laptop, especially a laptop this small, that were at a decent enough quality that I didn't feel the need to run and get my Bluetooth speaker. You could realistically comfortably sit there and watch a TV show or watch some YouTube videos, and it gets loud enough without distortion that I think it will satisfy the vast majority of people out there. It's not the greatest speakers ever. It's not the same as if you're using a MacBook, but you're also not paying anywhere near the price point of a MacBook. And in this case, you're getting an insane deal for $400. I mean, I'm telling you, every single laptop that I have used in this price range really sacrifices the quality of its speakers to reach that price point. I've used laptops in this price range that have speakers worse than my phone. This is an exception, especially at that $400 price tag. And that's not even mentioning some of the other great features, is the fact that you also get a backlit keyboard, and it is a 75 milliwatt battery, so you actually get some pretty insane insanely good battery life. Really, everything about this system seems perfect, but when you really start to dive in, you start to see some of the pretty glaring problems with this specific system. Specifically, the problem with this configuration is that it only comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, it's a Ryzen 5 7530U, which is effectively just a 5600U rebadged, which is still more than adequate, and at this price point makes it extremely competitive because, again, we're talking about a price range where a lot of the systems at this price tag tend to come with quad cores that are usually around Celeron or Pentium levels of performance, or you're looking at older Zen 2 based APUs, or you're looking at i3s that are current generation Intel, but the i3 is always just extremely cut down to the point where this APU is extremely competitive. It's those 8 gigabytes of RAM that really drag things down. Now keep in mind, you're going to be able to watch YouTube perfectly fine. You're going to be able to watch Plex, you're going to be able to watch Jellyfin, you're going to be able to watch whatever streaming service you actually pay for. You're going to be able to watch it on here and get a really great experience because you have an OLED display. But that 8 gigabytes of RAM is really pushing it on Windows. Even when you're not doing pretty much anything, about half of your RAM is going to get eaten up by the OS. This could be a problem if you're trying to do anything remotely past just browsing and using Office programs. Say even having too many tabs open in something like Firefox can end up bringing down the entirety of the experience to the point where you end up waiting for the system to finish swapping. And unfortunately, you're not able to upgrade this because of the fact that this is soldered memory. One of the banes of the PC enthusiast world. There is really no reason to do this outside of just trying to save some space, where really I would have sacrificed a couple of millimeters if it meant that I could just increase the RAM capacity here. That is kind of the death blow to this deal for a lot of people out there, but I think that you should really think about what you would use a system like this for. Do you want a fantastic media system where you're going to be able to do your schoolwork, your office work? As long as it's something light, it isn't going to be able to do anything super intense. But again, the CPU in here is actually really fantastic. It's just that RAM that is the biggest deal breaker, and specifically also just how heavy Windows has become. But I mean, that OLED, you are getting an HDR OLED for only $400. It's a whole computer, 6 cores, 12 threads. It's just that 8 gigabytes of RAM that is the problem. Also, the relatively small SSD is kind of an issue, but really so many things just exist on the cloud now that it's not exactly the worst thing. I mean, if I open up YouTube, I'm not downloading anything. If I'm watching things on Plex, well, all of that exists on my server. And honestly, what this laptop excels at is being a media consumption machine. That display is just so incredible at this price point. If you're just looking for a laptop where you can just watch all the content that you want, this is pretty much it. You're not really going to need much of anything else, and you're going to struggle to find a laptop even twice this price that has a display this good. I'm kind of blown away, really. You should definitely check it out.